Hey everybody, Ben here from the Bonehead podcast and welcome to Imperial Nobility starting rosters. So we are looking at all the teams that have been spawned in the Blood Bowl 2020 rulebook and looking at just what you can buy for League. So we're aiming for 1 million builds and we won't go too much into skill development or anything like that. We're just looking at exactly what you can put on the pitch for your first game in the next season. And this is a brand new team. So the Imperial Nobility we've not seen before. And now we'd normally cover the changes in the roster, but as we've not seen it before, like we said, we will quickly have a breakdown of the positionals available to this team and what exactly they do. So first up, we have got the Imperial Retainer Linemen. So they're 45k, movement 6, strength 3, agility 4+, passing 4+, armor 8+, and fend. So in old school money, they're 6'3", 2 basically, so 2 agility, so dodging away on a 4+, making a quick pass on a 4+, which isn't bad these days in the passing world, and armor 8+, so old school armor 7. So these with fend play very similarly to the Bretonnian linemen of old, so they're kind of like slightly better zombies, although they don't have regenerate. 45k each. They are quite cheap, however, so you're going to need them to be cheap because they've got some pretty pricey positionals. First up, we've got the Imperial Throwers. So they're 75,000 each, movement 6, strength 3, agility 3+, passing 3+, armor 9+. That puts them exactly the same stats as the human roster, but they're 5k cheaper because they don't have sure hands. They have pass and running pass. So running pass is a cool new skill that literally allows you to make a pass during your movement. So basically you can make a pass action, but your action doesn't end. So what it does mean is that these guys can run in, pass the ball off, and then go and mark a player, where historically you wouldn't want to do that with the thrower. What it allows you to do is make the most of their armor 8 in a team where the linemen are armor 7, when they're armor 8+, and you can use that body to help gum up the ground, or just, I think it's going to be a pass and block kind of thing for the throwers. So the throwers are the dudes with the balls in their hand like this, doing the old NBA style spin. So what else we got? We've got Noble Blitzers 0 to 2, 105,000, movement 7, strength 3, agility 3+, passing 4+, armor value 9+. So that puts them exactly the same as human blitzers. These guys come with block and catch. So you can get up to 2 of them, 7'3", 3+, 4+, 9+. And they are significantly more expensive than the human blitzers, so 20k more simply for having catch. They have access to general and agility, so they are kind of like your knights of old. Having that block and catch combo, they're going to be very great players. I think they're going to be the better players on the team. Then, so as for which models they are, I'm going to assume, I actually don't know. These big guys have got to be the bodyguards, but as for blitzers, don't know. There's a lot of feathers on that team. So blitzers, we've done those. We've got 4 bodyguards, so 0 to 4 bodyguards, and they are 90k each, movement 6, strength 3, agility 3+, passing 5+, armor value 9+, stand firm and wrestle. They're your general and strength access. So these guys are going to end up with guard, I think, quite a lot of the time. So 0 to 4 bodyguards with wrestle could be really good. The problem is they're 90k. So 90k for them, Noble Blitzers at 105 and your throwers at 75. These guys are pushing elf level price for the positionals, which means it's a very tricky build to get everything that you want. On the plus side, it means you've got a different team at 1 million than you do at 1200. So in that regard, that's quite interesting. So the bodyguards are the chunky boys at back. Now, the potential of this roster to have 6 players with combat skills, so 2 block and 4 wrestle, with armor 9+ on majority except their linemen, means that this team could brawl pretty well. Don't think it's going to be quite as efficient as the human team with 4 block, but it's still going to perform quite well, and it's going to have quite a decent control game. So it's ranked as a tier 2 team, but I don't know. I think that might be limited by its speed. Ogre, it gets an Ogre though. Ogre, 140k, you know what an Ogre does by now because it's definitely up there with one of the top big guys. And their rerolls are 70k as well, so they're hurt again on cost. So we've got a new team that we've not seen before. They're landing at tier 2. I think that's probably appropriate. If they brought in a new team and it was just simply better than humans, that would be bad for the game. But actually what this is a different human roster. And I think it's going to play in a very unique way. It does feel a bit like they've gone after the Bretonian roster. But we're not going to touch that. If you want to go deeper on our thoughts on this, check out the Blood Bowl 2020 winners and losers video that me, Ben and other Ben did, because we go into it in a bit there. Anyway, let's look at what you can buy for this team if you're starting them in a league. So there's a quadrant theory for this team. The balancing factor are rerolls and big guys. So what we've got is 4 rosters, some with rerolls, some with ogres. This one is that first one. So we've got 3 rerolls, no ogre. So the no ogre 3 reroll build comes in at TV 990, so you get 10k left over, probably to buy 1 dedicated fan factor. For this roster, you get 2 blitzers, 2 bodyguards, 2 throwers, 5 linemen, and 3 rerolls. So, first thing we need to discuss here is this team has got 11 players. You can downgrade both your throwers to take an additional lineman, but the difference in stats means, in my opinion, every time you can get a thrower instead of a lineman, you have to take it. They've got better armor, they've got better agility, and I think they're just going to be so much better on the pitch. Yes, they don't offend, and you're not going to use pass very often, but if you wanted to put somebody on the line, you would probably want someone with a slightly better ability to maneuver afterwards, and also that 1 extra armor. So you can go with 12 players and no throwers, but this way you get your key positionals and they start getting those reps. You can have 2 wrestle starting, 2 block starting, 2 pass, which really isn't going to do anything, but your throwers are going to develop, I think, into semi-blitzers. Chucking block on these throwers is not going to be a bad thing at all, especially with running past. It means that you're actually going to be able to move, chuck the ball off, and then position another block piece in there. And you're looking at a cheeky 6 SP to get that skill. It's not bad, and if, you know, there's a lot of skills you can take with general and passing. Passing on the ball, I would think would probably be one of the first ones I'd take. Take 2 throwers, make 1 a blitzer with block, make 1 a quarterback with on the ball, get that free kickoff return maneuver. You get 6 positionals, you get 5 linemen. The linemen are not great, so be aware of that, and that's why you've got 3 rerolls to pull off anything you want to. 4 combatants, 2 decent players, 5 chaff. But if that's not punchy enough for you, you can take an ogre and still afford 3 rerolls. So this roster comes in at 980. 1 ogre, 2 blitzers, 2 throwers, and 6 linemen. So hitting 11 players again with 3 rerolls. Everything I just said about the throwers is true, except in this roster you can drop a thrower, have the spare cash, and make an extra lineman, because the throw is 30k, so you drop that, goes down to 950, and you can take that 12th player if you want to do that. I'm a big fan of keeping those higher armor, just better agility players in there, because 6 linemen is already a bit of a tax, and these guys have got agility 4+, and you cannot, that's picking up the ball. Half your team, over half your team here are picking up the ball on the 4+. That's why those 3 rerolls are so key. And I think 25k for better agility, better armor is just an absolute bargain. And when you've only got 2 guys with block, you're going to need it. You do have an ogre, and it means that everything you get from now on cash-wise goes towards building up your bodyguards. If you think about this roster, and then you add another 360,000 on it, this team's peaking 1300 before you've got everything you want on there. So really it's about who you want to level up first. Okay, so we've done the reroll side of it. Let's look at what you can afford if you drop a reroll. So full line is what we've got. Full line and 2 rerolls. 2 blitzers, 4 guards, 2 throwers, 3 linemen, and 2 rerolls. So let's balance this around. You get a ton of player in this situation. 2 blitzers with block, 4 guys with wrestle, that's the bodyguards, wrestle and strength access, remember, so eventually they're going to start being bodyguards with guard. Okay, and that's going to be a heck of a front line there. 2-die block, you can wrestle the guy down. You're probably just going to roll a power and knock him silly. You've got those blitzers who've got good maneuverability and catch to make use of the pass from the thrower here, and they're 3+ passing. This is going to be quite a good team. However, you've got just 2 rerolls. I, however, do like this build. I mean, yes, you're going to have to save up 140,000 for that 3rd reroll, but you've got 2 throwers, and the likelihood of those throwers getting 6 SPP, you can take leader reasonably quickly, and then use that spare cash if you want to build up your bench to go for that ogre. If I was going to say here, have an extra 140k, what would you rather do? This roster plus an ogre and taking leader on one of my throwers. That is a mighty roster. So I like this build. 2 rerolls might hamper you a bit, but the advantage here is that you have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players with Edge 3+. So if you try not to do any silly passing shenanigans, that said, if you're throwing to a blitzer, you've got pass for the reroll and you've got the catch on the blitzer, so your integral rerolls there, it's really going to be those rerolls for making the most of the blocks and any ridiculous stretch plays you go for, or simply picking up the ball. I think sure hands on one of the throwers would not be a terrible option. So 995, you get a ton of positionals. You do suffer from the reroll, so it's a really interesting one to think about. Nobles smash. So what you can do is, if you want to risk the 2 reroll build, is go for the ogre. So 1 ogre, 2 blitzers, that's 2 blocking, 2 bodyguards, that's 2 wrestle, 2 throwers, that's 2 great players in my opinion. They're not the best, but they will be really useful. And 4 linemen takes you to 11 players with 2 rerolls. Bang on a million, so you've got no spare change at all. What you're doing with this team is you want to develop your throwers, one of them to get leader quickly, to get you that reroll, and then flesh out your bodyguards, and you will have this team brawling in no time at all. The advantage, you get an ogre, you get a whole load of combat power here. You've got 4 combatants and a big guy. That's a ton of strength. Your throwers are going to be decent players, and you're going to have the chaff of linemen that you want to deploy in places. Personally, if you want an ogre and you want to run around smashing stuff, this is not a bad build, because you get to flesh out with your decent positionals, and having those wrestle, having those block is going to make you feel like your team's performing a lot better. Personally, I think this would be quite fun to run, but if you want to get the full nobility feel, then either the full line 2 rerolls build where you get every one of the positionals, or the no ogre 3 rerolls build, I think will probably get you there slightly quicker. Each one of these rosters has its own advantage, and we are playing untested here with this team, so it is theory more than anything else. But you're going to start somewhere. So really, do you want 3 rerolls or 2? Do you want an ogre or not? That will help you decide exactly what team you want to build with your Imperial Nobility. Now, I cannot wait to see these models. I cannot wait to get my hands on them. I think I'm more excited about the Black Orc team from the new starter set. But I am quite looking forward to playing against this team, because I think in the hands of a good human coach, it's going to be awful. It's going to be really difficult to build. Anyway, leave a comment below, let me know which one of these rosters you think, or if we've missed one, and what you think about the Nobility team and how they're going to perform in 2020. I think tier 2, tier 1.5, maybe with a good coach. I think it's going to be a good fun team to play against. Anyway, thanks very much for joining me, and I will catch you again soon.